Add the following section: no core funding for soccer fields, baseball fields, basketball courts, or splash parks, notwithstanding item 1 of the table in section 401.
Clerk will suspend. Gentleman's correct. House will come to order. Clerk may continue.
Notwithstanding item 1 of the table in section 401A8, the Secretary may not carry out the project for the Upper Trinity River.
Gentleman from Pennsylvania. Is there objection to dispensing with the reading of the amendment of the resolution? Seeing none, the gentleman will
Can't hear the reading.
Clerk will suspend. The gentleman from Oregon is recognized for 5 minutes. House will come to order.
Colleagues, as we've heard over the 2 days, the core budget is tight. $2.4 billion backlog operations and maintenance, and after today, a $74 billion backlog on authorized projects. Now, deep in this bill is a line item that provides an authorization for an $810 million lavish waterfront development project in Fort Worth, Texas. My amendment simply guarantees fiscal discipline and regular order. 2 parts. First, it guarantees that no Corps of Engineers funds will be used to build soccer fields, baseball fields, basketball courts, or splash parks as part of the project. Second, it requires the Secretary of the Army determine that the project is economically justified. That's it. That's all this does. Now, the proponents of this will say there's no funds that are going to be used for soccer fields, baseball fields, basketball, or splash parks. However, this is extracted from the website of the developer of the project, and this is the official website. These are all included. Now they say, well, we're going to use local funds. Well, there's a little gimmick here. Whenever you get a core project, you...
Gentleman will suspend. Gentleman from Oregon will suspend. The House will come to order. Gentleman from Oregon may continue.
Core projects that have been authorized and found economically beneficial have to have local cost sharing. So in this case, a big part of the local cost share is these things which are not qualified for a core project. So they say, well, those aren't going to be federal funds. Well, this is going to reduce the burden on the local people to match, and it's going to increase the burden on the taxpayers. And in fact, if this does not authorize these things, all the Secretary has to do is say they are not going to be constructed with federal funds. If you don't want to take my word for it, listen to the Taxpayers for Common Sense National Taxpayers Union. This legislation authorizes funding for Project Fort Worth, Texas, costing more than $800 million. The Upper Trinity River project is portrayed as a flood damage reduction effort, but it is really a massive economic development initiative to divert precious core resources to construct soccer, baseball fields, basketball courts, even a splash park. Money spent on a splash park in Fort Worth, money can't be spent to further the Corps' core mission. At least we urge you to remove or limit those funds. Now, if I'm wrong and the National Taxpayers Union is wrong, this...
The gentleman will suspend. House will come to order. Gentleman may continue.
The Secretary only has to confirm that. Now, secondly, we're going to require the Secretary to determine the project is economically justified. Now, why would Congress insist on economically justifying a $510 million federal project? A better question might be, why wouldn't you insist on this? Every other Chief's report in this bill had to go through an economic analysis by the Corps of Engineers and be found to be a net benefit to the taxpayers of the United States. This project did not. Yeah, there was a private analysis done that says this is a great project, but there was no study done by the Chief's office, and it has not been economically justified. This project started out as an earmark in 2004 at a cost of $220 million. In this bill, it's a renewed earmark at $810 million. The federal share has gone from $110 to $527 million. Now, anybody out there who has a need for a port or harbor or anything else, think about that. You're in a very long line, and $527 million is going to get ahead of you with an earmark project which includes these sorts of features. I would urge us to observe regular order, not do an earmark by any other name, and require this project to be economically justified and not to construct sports facilities. With that, I yield back the balance of my time.
For what purposes, gentleman from Pennsylvania seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I rise in opposition to the motion to
Gentleman
recommit.
from Pennsylvania is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And the gentleman is correct. We are going to stand up and say that the Corps of Engineers and the non-federal sponsor have made it clear that it's not responsible for constructing baseball fields, basketball fields, and soccer fields. Not only, as the Corps said, that they've confirmed and they've reconfirmed it to us that that's not included in this. And in fact, an independent board did do a cost-benefit analysis on this. An independent board did one. But this motion simply stops the forward motion of this bill. I committed to making sure when I became chairman that every Congress we would pass a WRDA bill, get back to regular order like we used to do, where there were 7-year gaps. So here today, we have a bill. It's not perfect by any means, but it is a good bill. And I look around this chamber, and there are members here that there are projects in this that are important to your districts, they're important to your states, and most importantly, it's important to the nation that we move this bill forward. If we delay on this bill, we're going to delay these jobs. This is a critical bill for us. It does some very, very good things. There's good benefits in here. First, it reasserts congressional authority by restoring the 2-year cycle to the WRDA. It restores congressional authority. That means we in this House and the Senate and Congress get to tell the administration what they're going to do. We're not going to sit here and have them direct us and say this is what we'll do, and we don't know who those faceless, nameless bureaucrats are. And I'm tired of that, and I won't let that happen on my watch. It returns to regular order, preventing, as I said, those unelected bureaucrats from making those decisions for us. Secondly, it's fiscally responsible. We authorize almost over $9 billion in projects, but we deauthorize. So we've taken it, we've balanced it out. It's fiscally responsible. And finally, it keeps American jobs in America by strengthening our competitiveness. American jobs, not Republican and Democrat jobs, American jobs. In each of your districts, in each of your states, this bill is going to help America be competitive so that our goods and products can go out of these ports efficiently to the world markets, and they can come in and get on our store shelves efficiently and save Americans money. This is an important economic development bill for this nation. Let's get this bill done. Let's get into conversations with the Senate. Let's get this on the president's desk, and let's help strengthen America. I urge a no vote on this and yield back my time.
With that objection, the previous question is ordered. The question is on the motion to recommit. Those in favor will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. No. The noes have it. The motion is not adopted. The gentleman for Oregon requests a recorded vote. Those favoring a recorded vote will rise. Sufficient number having risen, recorded vote is ordered. Members will record their votes pursuant to Clause 9 of Rule 20. The chair will reduce to 5 minutes the minimum time for any vote on the question of passage. This is a 5-minute vote.